In this video, you will see how to troubleshoot the boiler controller error on Mastrena 2. The boiler controller error indicates a problem with the hydraulic boiler NTC, one of the brew chamber heater NTCs, or the steam module level probes. To determine which component is creating the error, you need the error detail located in Settings, Information, Event. Then, select the error to view the detail in Message. Once you know the error detail, you can skip to that section of the video as shown above. If you have an error with the steam boiler filling, you'll need to find out what is causing the boiler not to fill. But start by rebooting the machine to see if this resolves the error. If the error is still present, log into Service, navigate to System Settings, Machine Test, Advanced Test. Check that water is getting to the machine and that the water pump is running by activating the water pump in Advanced Test. Press and hold the rotary knob. If everything is functioning properly, you will see water flow out of the left side of the coffee outlet. Unplug the probes to see if the state changes in the menu. If you suspect that there is no water in the boiler, ground the terminal to the tank and see if the state changes. If the probes are reading correctly, check the steam filling valve in Component Test. Pressing the rotary knob will activate the steam filling valve. You can check for flow through the fill tube and for voltage at the valve. An error indicating an inconsistent state of level probes means that the level probe is grounded and the security probe is not. Unplug the probes to see if the state changes in the menu. If you suspect that there is no water in the boiler, ground the terminal to the tank and see if the state changes. If the state changes when grounded directly to the tank, there is an issue with the probes themselves. Check the steam boiler pressure gauge to ensure the tank is not pressurized. If there's pressure in the boiler, run the steam boiler emptying sequence before working on the boiler. The steam boiler emptying sequence can be found in System Settings, Machine Test, Advanced Test. Steam boiler emptying. Power down the machine when complete. Remove the probes from the tank by loosening the brass nut and lifting the probes out. Check the probes for continuity from terminal to tip. Ensure that the probes have good continuity, are not damaged, and are clean before reinstalling. If the state did not change correctly when grounding to the tank, there is an issue with the wiring on the module or in the chassis. Check continuity through the module from the pins to the terminal. You can find the pinout of the connector in the training guide on mythermoplan.com. Then check continuity from the board to the chassis connector. You can find the pinout for the board in the training guide on mythermoplan.com. If the error is caused by a brew chamber heater NTC, you will see a message similar to this. The first thing to check is that the temperatures displayed in Component Test seem appropriate. Temperatures below room temperature and well above the set point of 109 degrees C likely indicate an issue with the NTC. -1 indicates an open circuit. To test the heater itself, press the rotary knob for several seconds to watch the temperature rise. If the temperatures are inaccurate or do not respond as expected, check that the component control board is sending the correct signal voltage of 3.3 volts DC to pins 18 and 19 on the chassis side connector. If there is no voltage, check your wiring for continuity. If you have continuity, the component control board may be at fault. Check the resistance of the NTC within the heating cartridge. The layout of the heating cartridge connector can be found in the troubleshooting guide on mythermoplan.com. If everything checks out well to this point, check continuity from the pins into the module to the 4-pin connector. If the source of the error is the hydraulic boiler NTC, you will see a message similar to this. First, check the temperature of the NTC in component test. Temperatures well below room temperature or above the set point could indicate a problem with the NTC. A measurement of -1 indicates an open circuit. Start with an inspection of the NTC itself and see if the connector is plugged in and the wires are intact. Next, check for voltage at the connector. You should have 3.3 volts DC. If voltage is present, cool the boiler with the boiler cool-down sequence in advanced test. If there is an open circuit on the NTC, the process will not run and you will need to cool the boiler manually. Once the boiler is cooled, remove the module and then remove the NTC and cool it down to room temperature. At room temperature, 77 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 degrees C, the resistance should be nominally 10 kiloohms plus or minus 10%. If your resistance is outside this range, replace the NTC. The resistance definition can be found in the troubleshooting guide on mythermoplan.com. If voltage is not present at the NTC, check the wiring through the module for continuity. You can find the pinout of the connector in the training guide on mythermoplan.com. Then check for continuity from the component control board to the chassis side connector. You can find a pinout of the board in the training guide on mythermoplan.com.